Hello YouTube, this is Sniper Wolf 1001 here with some more unboxing videos. Now, in the mail recently, I got two more packages as you can see here. And pretty much, this big package down here, it has two more Robot Damashis. And this package up here is a big accessory part for the Robot Damashii that I'll be doing the review on this video. So let's go ahead and quickly unbox these, because this is a lot of stuff. And I apologize if this video is a bit lengthy. I tried to cut it down as much as possible and edit a lot of stuff out. And yeah, I'm obviously not reviewing both of the Robot Damashis in this video. I'm just doing one with the accessory part. So I'm gonna save the other figure for another video. And anyway, these two figures were actually the Gundams that I wanted to get originally before the Sonanju that I unboxed recently, as some of you probably saw. But yeah, when I saw the Sonanju online, that figure just looked absolutely amazing. And yeah, I kind of caved when I saw it. I just had to buy it instantly. And yeah, when I unboxed it, I was completely satisfied with it. The figure looked amazing. Like, there are absolutely no flaws with it, in my opinion. So here we go with the box open. So as you can see, we have the two Robot Damashis here. And here's the first one, the Strike Freedom Gundam from Gundam Seed Destiny. And as you can see here, we have the golden strip on the side of the box. That pretty much means that this is the first issue of the Strike Freedom from Robot Damashii, the limited edition version. And pretty much what that means is it comes with extension parts for the Strike Freedom's Dragoon units. And yeah, the first issue model is really expensive, but this is actually my most favorite Gundam unit in all of Gundam Universe, so I kinda caved and tried to get the best one with all the extra features. And here's the second mobile suit, the Destiny Gundam from Gundam Seed Destiny, of course. One of the antagonist mobile suits from the series. And yeah, these are pretty much the two Robot Damashis that I got in the mail, and there's one more coming, so expect one more unboxing video after the Destiny. So the one that I'm going to be doing in this video is the Strike Freedom Gundam, my favorite, so we'll save the Destiny for another time. So yeah, take a good look at this box. As you can see here, we have ZGMF X20A, the model number of this Gundam. And we have Gundam Seed Destiny down here at the bottom. And then right here on the side, we have this pretty cool picture of the Strike Freedom figure right there. And then down here, it actually shows the parts that come exclusive to the first issue right here. Those little clear extension parts for his Dragoon units, as you can see there. They're just kind of, have the Dragoon units just floating there right beside him. And right here on the back here, we have him just floating in the air, holding both of his beam rifles. And at the top left here, we have him with his beam shield generator deployed and with his his beam rifle in his right hand when they're combined together. And down here we have him, he's actually holding his beam sabers in this image, but it's kind of cut off. And back here, it's just the back showing his wings. So let's get this box open. So right in the box, we have the Strike Freedom here. Looking pretty nice. And we have, there's two wings. And then here we have his beam rifles. There's one and two. And then here we have his beam sabers. And these beam sabers are really long. Just look at that length right there. And then here we have some extra hands. As you can see, we have some open palmed hands and then some weapon holding hands. And then right here, this is a beam saber unit. This is actually supposed to be his beam sabers connected end on end, so he can do a kind of a double-ended beam saber thing. And then here we have his beam shield generator hiding underneath the box. And then along with the beam shield generator, we of course have the clear extension parts for his Dragoon units, which again is exclusive to the first issue of this Robot Damashii. That's pretty nice. So with the figure right out of the box, it's a bit of a small figure. It's compared to the Sinanju, it's pretty small, but there's actually a reason for that. This Strike Freedom is actually a redesigned version. They pretty much made the Strike Freedom a lot smaller, like more slim. So, which is why it looks really, really small and a little bit different from what you would normally see from like master grades and other versions of this suit. But I'm noticing that there are some faults here. Like, if you can see here, there's a tiny gold spot right there by the side of his face. And yeah, there's some tiny color spots where they shouldn't be on this figure, but they're very small, so it's not that big of a deal, but it is something to be aware of. But anyways, this figure looks pretty good though, despite those color spots. The only gripe that I have with this figure, with the way that it looks, it's not just the size, but it's the way that these golds look on the hands and on the joints. This is the one thing about the Robot Damashii version of the Strike Freedom, is that these golds just don't look that great. They're kind of like a brownish yellow type of thing. Like, they don't look very shiny, and they kind of look off. Like, compared to the other versions, like the Master Grade versions of the Strike Freedom, they don't look that great. They're not too impressive to look at. But anyway, let's start off with some articulation. So, of course, we start from the bottom up. So, right here with the feet, we'll tilt it down. And the foot can point down quite far, about that far. So it's a pretty drastic thing you have there, and then tilt it up. And then pivoting from side to side. It doesn't go as far as the Sinanju because of those little side parts there blocking the foot, but you can get some slight side-to-side movement with the feet. And then going up to the legs here. For a knee bend, you have to move that little part up there a bit. And you can see that the knee bends up really high, pretty much just like the Sinanju figure, and you can see it exposes some more gold when he pulls his leg up. But yeah, that's a good bend, really nice and high. And now for some in and out motion. We gotta move this part out of the way first. That part is a bit loose. But as you can see here, you can get a really, really high angle with his leg there. A lot higher than the Sinanju. As you can see, you have that nice 90-degree angle compared to his straight foot. That's a really, really good bend. Really good articulation on the leg here. And then onto his waist, we have the Strike Freedom's railguns. His Xiphius 3 railguns, and as you can see, these railguns swivel from side to side on his waist. And yeah, you can just point the railguns up. And the railgun is actually pretty decently detailed. As you can see here, there's a really nice red metallic here on the tip of the barrel. I'm not sure if you can see it from the poor quality of this camera, but yeah, this is a really shiny red metallic. And then there's a really nice kind of gunmetal gray going down the barrel. It looks really, really nice. And then now onto the chest. So for an ab crunch, the Strike Freedom can go down about that far. It's not bad. And then bending backwards, the Strike Freedom can bend pretty far back. As you can see, he's just staring off into the heavens. So that's a pretty good bend. And now for side to side. You can see we have that pretty nice, almost full sideways turn. It doesn't go as far as the Sinanju does, but it's pretty close to it, actually. As you can see, there's a bit of an angle, like he's kind of tilted more to the front, but that's still a good sideways bend. That would be good for some sword poses, for sure. And now for the arms. As you can see here, we can bend the arms up about that high. And then if you want to pull the arms out from the sides, they come out about that far. And now for the shoulders, you can tilt the shoulder up all the way just like that. And yeah, right underneath the shoulder, it exposes his... I think these are thrusters. I'm not sure if these are thrusters or vents, but yeah, we have some detailing right underneath there. Some decent blues and golds underneath there. And then here onto the back of the figure, you can see we have his basic thrusters down here without his wings attached. The two thrusters down there, and there are the holes there where you can put the wings into. And then here we have the Strike Freedom's multi-phase beam cannon mounted right in the lower torso. This gold actually looks really good. It actually looks a lot better than the other golds here, like on the hands and like the other joints. This gold is actually really shiny, and it actually looks a lot better, especially the golds inside the vents and like the other areas on the chest. The golds look a lot better than the other parts of the body. Like that gold is actually really shiny, while these ones on the hands are a bit more washed out. And also here on his hands we have his beam shield generators right there. Nice red metallic, very shiny. And same with this little stripe right on his chest there. Really nice detailing. It's like nice metallic red. I'm liking most of the colors on this figure. It's just the golds that are really bothering me. The golds on the hands. Anyway, let's look at his weapons. So here we go with the beam rifle. And his beam rifle actually looks really good. As you can see right here, the barrel has like a really nice looking kind of metallic-y greenish blue kind of color to it. It's very shiny, and it looks really nice. And the whites here are really bright. They look pretty good, and we have a little blue strip, which is nice. And we have more of that metallic-y greenish blue there at the top. And then right down here we have his gun handle, and you can just pull it out. Just like that. And there we have the handle extended. And here's his other beam rifle. And another feature with the Strike Freedom, those of you who've watched the show, you're familiar with this. The Strike Freedom can actually combine both of these beam rifles into each other to form a really long kind of beam sniper rifle type of deal. So as you can see, you remove the back part there, and then you can combine, right here we have the front extended, and then you combine the other beam rifle right into the back of it. And there you go. You have the beam rifles combined to form a really powerful high-energy beam sniper rifle. You just pull this handle out here. And yeah, this is really nice. These beam rifles looked really good by themselves, but like this, they look even better. So I'm really liking the beam rifles. And here we go with the beam sabers. And as you can see here, the beam sabers are very, very long. Like, these sabers are ridiculously long. And As you can see, the colors, they have like a nice kind of reddish pink on them. Very clear. And like I mentioned before, back in the Sinanju video, the Sinanju's beam sabers had those little ripples of energy going throughout the blades, while in this series, the beams are more straight, more neat. So those differences are pretty neat. And yeah, these beam sabers just look really cool. I like them. And then we also have this part as well. And then we can just simply detach the effect parts of the beam sabers out. And just mount them in here. And then here we go with the double-ended beam saber. And this just makes this weapon even longer. Like, this is really, really long. This is definitely going to take up a lot of space. So yeah, these sabers have pretty much doubled in length now that we've attached them end on end. So it kind of comes to the point that if you want to have this weapon on the Strike Freedom, you should be prepared to have some space available for it, because this weapon is going to take up a lot of space. And now onto his hands. We have his weapon holding hands. Pretty basic. And then here we have his open palmed hands for some nice action poses if you're firing off his beam rifle or something. And here we have his beam shield generator. And as you can see, the beam shield generator looks really good. The color looks really nice. This very clear blue. The plastic is really flimsy though for the beam shield. Like, as you can see, I'm kind of just bending it easily. But in terms of the way that it looks really good. Like, as you can see, right in the center, it has like this whitish blue, and then it starts becoming more clear and clear as it extends. And then we of course have the red metallics from the arms. And then here we take a quick look onto the wings. And the colors on the wings look really good. As you can see, we have those nice solid blues and blacks. It looks very accurate to the anime. The only issues I'm having with the wings is like right here, as you can see, there are these little white spots here. And down here, there's another white spot. They look almost like pieces of glue. They're not too big, but those are some visual flaws there. And then in terms of articulation, these wings, they move completely individually, independent of each other. And yeah, they can move a fair bit away from each other as well. And as you can see here, you can just turn them completely end on end like that. But obviously on the figure, the posability is going to be a bit more limited. So here we have the Strike Freedom with the wings mounted. And as you can see, the figure looks really cool with those wings on. And there are a lot of things that you can do with these wings, actually. As you can see, that the little mounting point here, the wings can swivel back and forth. And there's nice tension on the little pivot point there. You can actually get some accurate poses with it. The only thing about these wings, though, is that trying to mount them into the back there is kind of difficult. I had some trouble putting them on during this video. The mounting point is just really tight, so it's hard to go in. But yeah, as for swiveling, as you can see, the wings will remain in position because there's some nice tension here. And then another bit of articulation here is, of course, these wings can open up. They can kind of just move anywhere that you want them to. So you can flip that one up there, like that high, and then you can have the other one just pointed all the way down to the ground. And yeah, these wings have quite a lot of posability. And then, as well, the top part here you can tilt over and expose some more gold, I suppose. And yeah, of course, the wings, again, just shifting their positions, having the back layer of wings in a different position from the front layer, so that they just move independently from each other. So you can just have these wings in very, very different positions. And another thing about these wings, which is pretty cool, is the Dragoon units that I've been talking about before. Obviously, if you're familiar with the show, you know what I'm talking about. Pretty much the Dragoon units are these blue parts on the wings here. And the one cool thing about these wings, this figure, is that you can actually extend these wings like that, and you can expose some more gold. But also, you can remove these blue parts. Just like that. These Dragoons are actually really tight when it comes to pulling them off, but yeah, you can just pull the Dragoon right off. As you can see right here, just slide them right out. And it exposes some more gold detailing on the inside of the wings, like the skeletal structure of the wings, which is a really, really nice detail. I really like that. And yeah, here's the Dragoon by itself. And these being able to come off is obviously, you know, it's representative of the anime, but it's very important for this figure because of the extension parts that come with the first issue. So that's it so far. That's pretty much it for this figure, so let's get on to showing the weapons on the figure. So here we have the Strike Freedom holding his beam sabers, and one big flaw about this figure is that his holding hands don't really hold the beam sabers in too well. Pretty much these sabers are kind of loose in his hands. Like, I'm not sure if you can see it from this angle here, but as you can see, I'm tilting the saber around in his hand, and it's just really loose. He doesn't really hold it too tightly. It's kind of just being held up by his curved thumb, really, which isn't very good. That takes away from posability quite a bit. And he also doesn't hold the beam rifles in his hand either, which is really strange. It's like one of the Robot Damashis that doesn't really hold his weapons too well, which is really unfortunate. And these are the only holding hands that you get in this figure, so I don't know. And again, here's his beam sabers, his double-ended ones, and again, as you can see, he doesn't hold them quite well. It's kind of wobbling as I move the figure. It's just not good. Like, if you try holding his hand like this, he'll just be holding it at the end. Like, you can't really have him holding it in the middle or something. Unless you try to do some sort of two-handed thing, but even then, I don't even think it would work too well. So here, another thing about the railguns here on the Strike Freedom is that you can actually swivel the railguns from the sides to the back. And then that gives you room to actually mount his beam rifles on his sides. So as you see right here, there's a little mounting point there. And then yeah, you can just mount that little yellow attachment part on the beam rifle right onto his waist. Just like that, and you have his beam rifle just hanging off of the side. And then here we have both of his beam rifles just hanging off his sides here. And also, another detail about the railgun, when you extend the railgun, you can actually pull the part off, and you see it exposes some more gold. But this is actually more important for another reason. It's a nice detail because if you try to get the Strike Freedom up into its full burst pose, you can just pull these railguns out like that, and just have the railguns ready to fire. And then these back parts here, you can just pull them back so that the railguns are fully extended just like this. You can see the railgun's just perfectly straight. Just really extended. And then, of course, when you're done with the railgun, you can just slide the part back in, and then you can collapse the parts back into each other. It's really, really nice how they incorporated that element of portability with the railguns. You can just collapse them and expand them. It's really good. So here we have the Strike Freedom holding his beam shield generator, and it's a kind of a loose part. It kind of just fits into a hole. You just flip one of these red parts off, and then you just stick it in. And because of that, you kind of have to be careful with the beam shields, because you might pop them out while doing something else. So now on to the big accessory for the Strike Freedom. This part actually doesn't come with the Strike Freedom. You have to actually buy it separately. And this is actually one of the more important parts for this figure. And yeah, getting this extra piece is pretty expensive, because people charge a lot for this part. And another thing that's cool is that, as you can see here, this figure doesn't come with a stand by itself, but this extra part also includes a stand, so it's pretty much got me covered when it comes to that, which is pretty neat. So as you can see here, we have the extra part here, and it's the Strike Freedom's Voiture Lumiere system, or his Wings of Light, which pretty much allow him to achieve interplanetary travel, as well as drastically increasing his speed, making him incredibly fast. And then right here we have a nice image on the back here with the Strike Freedom just floating there with his Wings of Light displayed. Looking very godlike. Very fitting of the Jesus Yamato man himself. So here we have the stand. And yeah, it's very unfortunate that Robot Damashii doesn't ship stands with their figures. I don't know if that's something they've changed recently, but it does really suck though that you have to go out and buy a stand for your figure after buying the figure. Like, they should kind of just come included. But here we go, right out of the box with the wing effect parts, the Voiture Lumiere system. And then here are the lower ones down here. And I really love the way that these parts look. They look incredibly detailed. Like, just like the beam shield generator, like, we have that nice little whitish blue right at the beginning where the energy starts, and as it starts to extend away from the mobile suit, it just gets clearer and clearer and clearer. And another thing I like about this is I like the design of it, just how sharp and spiky it looks. Just like how the energy is being displaced very erratically. It makes it look really cool. So let's go ahead and get this mounted onto the figure. So here we have the Strike Freedom with his Voiture Lumiere system activated, or his Wings of Light. And yeah, as you can see, this makes the figure really, really, really big. Like, this is gonna take up quite a bit of space. Like, if you guys thought that those beam sabers were pretty big, like, the wingspan on this thing is just absolutely massive. I can just barely hold it inside the frame of this video. But yeah, the Wings of Light look absolutely amazing in this figure. They're a bit weird to mount in, because there are these little jagged parts here. Let me bring it closer so you guys can see a bit better. As you can see, there are those little jagged parts there, and then there's a little indent there. And then at the end of the wingtip, there's a really tiny, tiny nub that you kind of just fit the wing into. And then you also have to fit it in between there, of course. And it's kind of weird. They kind of fit in loosely, but at the same time, they're held in securely. Like, I don't know, but it seems to be working, so. But yeah, this figure looks absolutely amazing like this. And definitely, if you want these Wings of Light in, you're going to need a stand for this figure for sure. And definitely for me personally, I'm going to be having the Strike Freedom doing his full burst pose with his Dragoons and everything extended. Most likely going to have him up in the air, of course. These Wings of Light look amazing, as you can see. You have a side view here. And then we take a quick look to the back. And yeah, these wings look beautiful. And they will definitely complement the Destiny once I unbox that. So now let's get this figure into my favorite pose, the full burst form. So here we have the Strike Freedom up in full burst mode. So when you get the figure by itself, it looks a bit small, but once you get the wing effect parts and the extension parts for the Dragoon, it just makes this figure like so much more amazing. And I can completely excuse the dull gold parts in favor of these Wings of Light. So you can see this figure just looks absolutely amazing. So we'll just do a little side view here. As you can see, we have his railguns extended, and then he's holding both of his beam rifles. And then you can also see his Dragoons just floating right beside him, targeting anybody that dares to oppose him. And yeah, this figure just looks absolutely amazing. Now, onto a more ridiculous setup. Here we have the Strike Freedom holding every weapon that he has. This is a really ridiculous looking pose, but this is actually something I really like about the well, I don't know if it's unique to Robot Damashii, but the Strike Freedom is pretty much capable of holding every one of his weapons. Like, this just looks really ridiculous, but it's really neat. Like, as you can see here, as I spin it around, he's holding his double-ended beam sabers right here, his beam shield generator, and his beam rifles connected both together with his Dragoons and everything. So that's pretty cool. Some really nice versatility we have with this figure. Alright, so that pretty much takes care of the entire figure as well as everything that it comes with. Now for my last impressions and my conclusions about this Robot Damashii Strike Freedom. Now, I really liked the figure, it looked really good. There were just a few obvious flaws with it. One of the flaws was that there were a few color spots on the figure in areas that they shouldn't have been in. And one major flaw were the hands. Now, if you were to compare the Strike Freedom with the Sinanju mobile suit, both Robot Damashii suits, by the way, you'll notice that with the Sinanju, it had multiple hands for each of its different weapons. It would have a hand that was specific to holding his beam rifle, as well as having a hand that was specific to holding his beam sabers and beam axes. However, with the Strike Freedom, they kind of just gave you two generic hands, which were kind of like one size fits all, and despite that, they don't really do a good job at holding anything. And that was something that really irritated me, because if you try holding his weapons, which you're generally going to want to do, this is more problematic with his beam rifles. Those weapons will just shift in his hands if you move the figure slightly, and sometimes even if you don't, the weapons will just move and just shift by themselves, and then you just lose your poses right there. So the hands will just, they'll kind of take away from posability there. And then one major flaw that really irritated me was the inconsistency of joint strength and joint tension. Like, for example, I found that there were certain spots on the mobile suit that were just really stiff, really hard to move. Like, for example, the Dragoons. The Dragoons were really, really hard to take out, and mounting the wings into the back of the Strike Freedom was really hard to do. And there were some other spots on the Strike Freedom that were pretty difficult to move as well. But also, if you go to other spots on the Strike Freedom, there were spots that were really easy to move, spots that were really loose. For example, the wings. If you try moving the wings, you'll notice that they're very loosely attached to the backpack. So sometimes the wings will just move by themselves if you leave it, and if you try to move the figure, the wings will just move by themselves. As well as areas by the waist, like the railgun. Like, the railgun is really loose to the area that it's attached to, and the head was a big part with loose joint strength. I've had the head pop off and fall several times during the course of this video, and yeah, the head just doesn't sit there properly, like, it's extremely loose, so that's a big flaw there in my opinion. But for the pros, the good sides of this mobile suit, I definitely really like the colors. All of the whites, the blues, the blacks, the reds, and the golds on the chest, they look really good. The colors look really good, as well as his weapons. His beam rifles and beam sabers look absolutely amazing. And on top of that, the wing effect parts, the Voiture Lumiere system, those look absolutely amazing. Like, in my opinion, the Wings of Light, they completely outweigh the bads on this mobile suit. And of course, the Wings of Light don't come with this figure, so you're gonna have to buy them somewhere else, but if you do get them, it's definitely worth it in my opinion. It just makes the figure look absolutely amazing. So if you guys are looking for a Strike Freedom and you like the quality of the Robot Damashii stuff, I definitely think that you guys should try looking for the first issue of the Strike Freedom, because you're going to want those extension parts for the Dragoons. Because with the regular Strike Freedom, you can still take the Dragoons off, but you can't have them posed anywhere. Like, you kind of just have the wings kind of naked, just floating there, really, and the Dragoons will just be off to the side. So yeah, definitely try to get the first issue. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and yeah, here's a Gundam Extreme versus comparison here with my figure. So thanks for watching, guys, and see you later.